Hello everybody and welcome to Chapter 4 of the How to Build Guide, and today we will be talking about getting inspiration. Yeah, that took longer than it should have to make. So, I haven't posted my last guide, or I haven't made a guide in like 2 or 3 months, and I thought it was about time to get down to it, and so I also made this little map to go along with it. If anybody wants a world download, you can just ask, and I'll make sure that that gets up and to you as soon as possible. So without further ado, let's get started. So this guide will have 4 sections, derpily wrote out in Minecraft 3x3 letters. So to start off, we're going to have where to look. So this is going to talk about where you're going to find inspiration to then eventually translate into Minecraft. So first, let's click this button. Okay, so we have our computer here, so let's just start up our web browser and let's see where to find inspiration. So the first web page we are at is a combination of the 2 subreddits, architecture porn and room porn. Do not worry, these are not actually porn, they're just really nice looking rooms and buildings. So this is a great way to find inspiration for different places. I suggest installing the Reddit enhancement suite if you don't have that already, because clicking through all these images can get pretty annoying, just loading up everything. So yeah, we have a nice house here. Architecture porn is better if you want just basic buildings, and room porn is better if you want interiors. So this is a nice place to check out, and if you've never been to either of these subreddits before, one of the best places to go is to the top section. The room porn generally has more of the top ones, but you can go to architecture porn if you specifically want exteriors, and room porn if you specifically want interiors. So moving on, we go to Google Maps. So right now I'm in Chrome, so I'm able to do this. So this is a functionality they added a little while ago, where you can actually go into cities and put on 3D mode, and you can actually pan around the city and look at the buildings in 3D. So it's pretty neat. It only works if you have Chrome. But what I suggest is that you can go to a place like New York City, which is where I am now, and you can look around, see if there's any buildings you like, and then if there are, you can actually go in there, go to Street View, take a closer look at it. And the thing is, you'll also have the address of it, so you can look that up in Google and get the name of the building, and then you can get other angles with it. And some buildings even have interior view, so you can check that out as well. Okay, we're just going to look in the Street View real quick. Is this the building? Yeah. This is what it looks like from below. So I would also look up just 31 Beekman Street. Make sure I'm spelling that right. Beekman Street, New York. Yeah, and then I could look through all these and figure out what that building is. So anyways, let's hop back to Minecraft. Okay, now that we know where to find inspiration, we need to know what we're going to look for, and that's what we are going to learn next. So if we just push this button, we will find the first thing we need to look for, and that is layout. So in this room, I have arranged a sort of blueprint, so to speak, with some light blue wool flooring and lapis walls. So this is not any example in particular, but it just shows what the sort of thing that you are going to be looking for. Sometimes you can find the blueprints for buildings, sometimes you cannot, and then you have to do it by eye. But its layouts are crucially important to the building itself. I've talked about them a little bit in the past, but I'll make sure to talk about more in depth in the next chapter of the guide. But basically, if you can find a layout, they're a good thing to get inspiration from in your building. So if we move on to this next room, we will see details. So details can be found in any building in the world unless it's just a flat wall. And even then, sometimes you can find it. So I've taken 3 examples of details right here, and let's talk about each one of them. So this one on our left is a sort of isosceles triangle that you commonly find on the top of classical buildings, which means Greek, Roman, and more recently like stuff that you'd find in Washington, D.C. or maybe Philadelphia. And so this is something that you could take from a lot of these buildings and either implement into your own classical building, whether it be a Roman temple or a town hall, or into anything you really want. So on our right, we have a sort of curve that I took from the facade of a Baroque cathedral. So this curve took a while to get right, but it ended up being pretty nice, and it just looks nice. So I've made all these out of quartz. They do not need to be made out of quartz. And this is just examples of details, just to give an idea of what I'm talking about. And this is something I got from a building at MIT. And this is just using stairs to make 1 by 1 squares out and had them sort of misaligned. So we'll be talking about how to get these details from actual buildings a little bit later on, but for now we'll move on, and we find ourselves in a small, comfortable little cabin. So this is one of the things we're going to be talking about with purpose. So as you can probably tell, the purpose of this is to be sort of homely and nice. So yeah, you can tell this because it's sort of wide and not very tall. It uses a lot of warm colors. It uses natural wood tones, a little bookcase in the corner. And so basically its purpose is to be sort of nice, homely. But if we come out the doors, we'll see a giant sort of Gothic facade of either, maybe it could be a cathedral, probably not, but maybe a castle or a mansion. And so you can tell this is meant to be more tall, impressive. It's meant to catch your eye, and you can tell that because it's tall, it's made of stone, it almost looks like it's carved from a mountain. So you can see the contrast between this and this. And sometimes it's actually the purpose of a building that will inspire you to create something, and not necessarily very specific detailed or layouts. So those are a few of the things that you should be looking for. But for now, we will move back to the main lobby and talk about translating these things that you look for into Minecraft. So let's push this button again. And so first we have, this is actually the same Baroque cathedral that I was talking about earlier, but here's a picture of it. And here is what I have so far. So basically we make a simple outline of the very basic shapes that we need. So we have a sort of wide rectangle at the bottom, a slightly smaller rectangle on top, and then a triangle to top it off. So this is pretty basic, and you can get this for pretty much any building you need. So the next thing we do is add depth to it. So I specifically copied this from that cathedral. So we have the pillars to the side. They come out one. I actually had to bring this forward one to coincide with this. More pillars and a little triangle or semicircle, depending on how you think about it. So I'm most likely going to go more in depth on this in a future. Well, you can learn about depth from my original chapter 1 of how to build, but I'll also talk about it more in future chapters. So finally, we need to add detail, and this is the detailed version. So as you can see, I sort of added some indents over here. I added a bit more depth in this area. I added a door made out of dark prismarine, which is also my favorite block. I added a railing and then a window. All these things can be found in the actual picture as well. More indents and then those sort of curves at the side. 2 things I would have done differently if I was doing this for an actual build is, first of all, I would try to make it odd number wide, but the room is even number wide. But basically a rule of thumb is to always try to make double or odd number wide buildings, because they're just easier to deal with. And I also would have made it much bigger because this looks sort of derpy. But now that we actually have this, let's go to an actual example of getting inspiration from something in real life and then translating that into Minecraft. So we find this in the aptly named merge sources, which I put there because I could only put 5 letters wide, and that's the best I could come up with. So what we can see right here is that I have sort of this natural wood tones that I got from the house over there. And then I also have this Baroque facade of the cathedral again. This is an exact replica from our area over there. So I want to combine these somehow. And so this is one of the main things that you do when taking from multiple sources. You have to find out a way to combine them. So in this particular scenario, I took a structure and a color scheme and tried to combine them. And the results for our first try is this. So I pretty much just replaced every single block with a corresponding wood thing. The only thing I changed was a door. So these are all the exact same blocks, and yeah, so it looks good, it feels more natural, but we also need to change the actual structure so that it fits in more with the wood theme. So the way we're going to do this is sort of shortening it, so getting rid of that top part, which makes it look sort of grand, which is the point of this, and maybe making that a bit more shallow. And we're also going to add more details that are specific to these colors, because we have access to a lot more now. We have access to fences, more shades, and yeah, a lot of things. So the results can be found right here. So I got rid of the top, just added a simple triangular roof with a nice little window in it. I got rid of the indents themselves and just turned them into windows. I added some more depth here, some fences, and I made the doors a little bit nicer. So this is our final result of combining that structure and that color scheme. So I've skipped a lot of the intricacies, mainly because I cover those in previous building guides, and once again, if you want to see them, then you can check it in the description below. So, but for now, that is pretty much all. So we'll head back to the lobby again and finish up the video. So if you liked, you can leave a like. If you really liked and would like to see more, you can subscribe. And until next time, goodbye.